Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Colton, and in today's video, I've got a challenge for you that will make you a better photographer or filmmaker, sculptor, whatever creative medium you choose. This is a photography channel, so we're using photography as the example, but it really works regardless of creative medium. But that challenge is to go out and photograph and to intentionally handicap or limit your setup in going out. And the reason I say this, hopefully it's not offensive, but what I mean by this is I hear from so many people these sort of justified arbitrary blockers for why they're not going out and actually doing the work. And the two most common ones are either I don't have the gear that I need, or I've got some gear, but it's not good enough to do this project. And these are really arbitrary reasons not to do it. Too many people are saying, well, I need to buy all this certain gear. And so I'm spending all my time saving up money, doing research, watching reviews, reading spec sheets. And I'm spending all this mental energy comparing equipment to buy the perfect gear. And that's all time that I'm not actually just doing the project. Or I've got gear, but I'm telling myself, well, it's not the right gear and I'd have to do all this extra work to compensate. And then the end result wouldn't look as good as I want it to look. And so I really need to wait until I get the right gear to then start doing this. And, it's not that those are bad reasons, but in my opinion, they're arbitrary blockers because really you should still go out and do these projects. None of the great photographers or filmmakers or whatever artistic medium started out with the perfect setup. They all started out with shitty gear and found ways to still get great images despite the fact that they didn't have amazing cameras or amazing equipment. And in fact, that's actually super beneficial because it forces you to think creatively to compensate for the limitations that your equipment has. And that makes you start building skills and gaining experience in doing that so that later, when you do get better equipment, you have the skills and experience to back that up so that you can squeeze out the maximum quality from that better equipment. But if you just jump straight to having the great equipment, well, you don't have any experience or skill to back it up. So in fact, you are then going to be the limiting factor, not your equipment. And while ultimately the goal maybe could be argued that that should be the case at some point, you don't want to be so limiting that you can't achieve what you want to do. And then what are you going to blame it on? Well, I've got all the perfect equipment, but I never gained any experience. So it's really me, and how do I fix that? Well, this is how you fix it. You challenge yourself now to go out with intentionally limiting or even the wrong gear and force yourself to still get great images regardless of that. So a few examples of how you might do this. Maybe you are, a natural light portrait photographer. You don't really have the gear to do indoor portraits, but you want to get to that point. Do it. If all you have is a dinky little flash or some lighting in the building, start with that. And now you're intentionally limited, but you're going to have to figure out, how do I still get an interesting image with the conditions and lighting that I have? Maybe you shoot motorsport, and typically for a race, you have a 100 to a 400 millimeter lens. Go out to that race with a 24 millimeter lens. Totally the opposite of what you maybe are normally shooting with. And that's going to force you to start thinking, well, how do I photograph this to where I can still get an interesting image? Probably that means you're not going to photograph it the way you normally would. You're going to have to start looking for other things to shoot or other ways to frame up the shot. And so all of that is going to get you to start thinking in ways that you don't normally think, to start problem solving in ways you don't normally problem solve, and to start getting experience with that equipment. And it will also show you that it's really you who makes the image and not necessarily the equipment. So I think this is a challenge that any photographer or creative person can do, regardless of their level. If you're just starting out in photography or if you're a professional in photography, it is never a bad time to do a challenge like this. So I not only want to challenge you to do this over the next week, month, or year, but I want you to share your results with me because I'm super interested in this from both sides of the coin. So, not only can you comment here on YouTube, but I would even say, hey, if you have an image that you want to share that you were able to get by doing this challenge, email me, Instagram direct message me, tag me in a post on Blue Sky. All of that is linked here on the YouTube channel. And I even have a Linktree link in the description of this video so that you can reach me on those platforms. But yeah, I would love to know, how did you challenge yourself? What was the challenge that you gave? How did you work within the confines of that challenge to still get something interesting? And then, yeah, what's an example of an image that you were able to achieve by doing this challenge? So I'd be really excited to see your responses there. And feel free also to share your challenge in the comment section of this video so that anyone watching can read the comments and kind of get some ideas of how they might challenge themselves. And as always, I've probably said the word challenge too much in this video. So if you enjoyed it, please do give me a thumbs up. It helps out the channel tremendously. And if you want to see more content like this or join me on my photographic journey, then hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, and that's going to keep you in the know for when the next video drops. But for now, I'm Colton. I'll see you in the next one.